A couple weeks ago, 21 Savage was in a Twitter space and mentioned Nas and said something along the lines of him being irrelevant, but still making really good music and having a really loyal fan base. This immediately got everyone's attention because the internet likes to take just one thing out of context and make it a headline, and everyone jumped at 21 Savage for saying something insane. But then he went back and said, like, no, I didn't mean any disrespect. Like, I would never disrespect a legend like that. And even Nas seems to understand because they both hopped on a track together titled One Mic, One Gun. And seeing as this is kind of what we expected from J. Cole and Lil Pump when they had their sit down, it's only right we go bar for bar and break down these lyrics. If you're new here, these breakdowns are where I go through and read out the lyrics to a song and give my interpretation of what the artists are trying to say. My interpretations are not always correct, and I do miss things, so if I miss something or misinterpret anything, please let me know in the comments below. That way, everyone gets to learn something. So the track starts off with a verse from 21 Savage.
Ain't no back and forth, ain't no left or right. I got King's disease, but I move like a knight. Rappers bandwagon trying to get some light. I do it for the fam, never for the hype.
So right out the gate, 21 Savage is, like, he's making chess references, really. That's really what it is. He's not moving back and forth like a rook, and he's not moving left or right, also like a rook. He's got King's disease, which shout out to the album title. But he moves like a knight. He moves diagonally. Or not diagonally. That's a bishop. He moves like in an L shape. It's a little more unpredictable. It's, I guess, on brand for him. Sure, whatever you want to say. Rappers bandwagon trying to get some likes. I do it for the fam, never for the hype. Like, rappers bandwagoning being like, just supporting other popular artists, I guess. But 21 Savage is more real, and I guess that's kind of him, like, defending himself a little bit for what he said in the Twitter spaces. Like, yeah, everyone else is just kind of jumping on saying whatever, but no one said anything contrary. Which, especially when it comes to Nas, if you say anything wrong, people are going to jump on you.
When you turn a legend, no such thing is relevant. They must have forgot that I'm a new rapper that got integrity. 21. All in the media and blogs, that's just a place I don't care to be. 21. Most of these niggas wouldn't say shit if they was ahead of me.
And then this is kind of a reference to what he said about Nas. Like, when you turn into a legend, there's really no such thing as relevance. Like, you're always going to be relevant. You're not, like, you may not be relevant in that immediate moment, but you're kind of like relevant in the whole culture, I guess. Like, Nas made Illmatic, and that's an album that everyone says is a classic album. Like, yeah, it may not be the most relevant album right now, but it's still a classic album that people will go back to and refer to regularly, I feel.
No back and forth, I did it back then, I do it right now. I open a lane for my era, I'm goated, they gave me the crown. Go, with all the success, come negative press, I'm watching it pow. They saying that black music dying, I'm saying they right on the south.
So, chorus kind of repeats the whole chessboard, I guess, motive. There's no back and forth, there's no discussion about it. It's like, I did it then, and I'm doing it now. Like, what do you expect from me? Like, he doesn't have to argue for himself. He doesn't have to say that he's the greatest or one of the greatest. Like, he just kind of is. At least that's what he's trying to say. He opened the lane for his era. He's goated. They gave him the crown. Yeah, I mean, people already gave him that crown. And he's the GOAT with all the success and negative press. Like, throughout everything in his career, he's always been highly regarded.
But look at me now, damn, y'all, look at me now. Whatever I do isn't why, I'm keeping it Queens, cause that's my side. I shook up the town, I shook up the city, I shook up the state. I went 21 on my second run, that shit come with age.
So following that, black music is dying, or they wiping us out line, is like, yeah, even through all that, man, look at me now. Whatever I do is very New York. He's doing it pretty much the way that he would always do it. And he keeps in New York because that's his side. He shakes everything up, and now he's with 21 Savage, which also, if you are just a purist and think that Nas is only going to do pure traditional hip hop, this seems like a little out of place. You're going to shake things up. But I mean, if you also know Nas, you know that he's always been working with newer artists, so that's not too much of a stretch. But he's with 21 on his second run being this whole King's disease run. And this shit just comes with age. Like, he's getting better with age, like wine. I think I said that on one of my last videos. This then goes into a second verse, which it's mostly from Nas.
It's a conversation, it's determination, your interpretation. I just shot the nation. Did my tour with the woo, I came back and I set the pace. They just ran in, what about Crips and took what I replaced it.
Determination. This is a conversation between Nas and 21, Nas and hip hop, the fans, everyone. This is this is your interpretation, and your interpretation is that I just shocked the nation. I put out another really solid body of work, and I also was just on tour with the Wu-Tang Clan. Like, I just keep moving. I can't slow down. This man's almost 50, and he just did a pretty big tour, I'd say. And then him saying they just ran one of my cribs and took what I replaced it. That's a reference to like how one of his houses just got robbed, but luckily he wasn't in there. And he's not really concerned about it because, I mean, money is money, I guess. And materials are just things that he doesn't really need.
Two Caucasians, so part of their faces. Most of y'all assume that they was black as exploitation. They know that I see everything invested in ring. It's cool to be mainstream. I'd rather be timeless. That's if we keep it in pink. 21.
21.
So if you aren't aware, Nas is also invested in Ring cameras. So he's saying, nah, I know who stole from me. I caught them on camera. They're two white kids. And then he's like, nah, but most of y'all assumed it was black people, which is just kind of exploitation. This then goes into the third verse from 21 Savage.
I'm on that same trajectory. Bullet wounds and jail cells couldn't stop me. This my destiny. Never controversial. I'm mad the fans expected less from me. Nigga sneeze around me, wipe his nose, won't get no bless from me.
21 saying that he's on the same trajectory as Nas. However you want to feel or whatever you think about that, that's up to you. Nothing could stop him. No bullet wounds and jail cells couldn't stop him. This is destiny. He's never controversial. And he's mad that the fans expected less from him. I don't know. I mean, yeah, in general, I guess he's not controversial. 21 Savage is mostly a safe option to work with. I think the thing, like what he said about Nas, is probably the most controversial thing he said.
Fuck the jury, I'd rather buy land and invest successfully. I got all type of stocks and bonds, Kahinde Wiley on my wall, and I'ma pass it to my son. It's savage like the capo, that mean Escobar the Don. One mic, one gun.
21 obviously is making money, but he'd rather spend that money on things that'll make him more money, like land and stocks and bonds. And he's gonna pass it on to his children. And then he kind of compares himself to a capo, and then, I mean, Escobar, being Nas, is the Don. It's like, yeah, there's this sort of semi-relationship, I guess you could say. And then the one mic, one gun reference again. One mic is from Stillmatic, in case we forgot. The one gun part, I don't know where he's bringing that from yet, but I'm sure it's super obvious.
My net worth like 8 figures. I'm working on getting me 9. You know that I'm one of them niggas. I ain't doing no cap in the line. You rappers be chasing the hype. I do it and I don't be trying. I ain't going against no legend, nigga. I'm trying to be next in line.
He's trying to get his money up. He's trying to get worth 9 figures instead of 8. He doesn't cap. He doesn't lie. He will just be chasing hype, and he doesn't really try. He just kind of does unintentionally. And he's not going against any legends. He's trying to be the next legend. All things that, you know, you would, I guess you would want to say if you unintentionally said some negative things about someone like Nas.
They acting like I just popped. I was platinum before I signed. I went platinum without no features. I put platinum on your mind. This Glock I got two-tone, and this bitch don't bust no rhymes. They wanna see me flip so they could deport me like I'm shine.
So he goes on to say, they're acting like I just popped. Like, dude, I was platinum before I signed. One of his what was it? His debut album, I guess. His debut album went platinum without any features, which is also funny because it sounds like a J. Cole reference. Nothing that J. Cole specifically said, I guess, but people make that meme, J. Cole went platinum with no features. And then they want to see him fucked so they can deport him like he's Shine, because they were trying to deport 21 Savage at some point, and just like Shine. This then goes into the chorus, which is basically the same as before. Only difference is he shouts out both 21 and Kodak Black, I believe, just for being the next voice of the South, I guess, or the biggest voices in the South right now. Something along those lines. And then the track ends. There's an outro from Nas where he's just saying, Two Kings, we're sending love to the whole culture. 21, Esco, Mass Appeal, Slaughter Gang. This shit too easy. And that is the song. Overall, the song itself is kind of fine. It's not as crazy as people are making it sound. I mean, again, I don't really care for 21 Savage most of the time, so this was just fine to me. But I also don't hate him, so I'm not gonna go like, oh no, this is awful. Like it was okay. I don't think the song was necessary realistically, because they could have just settled it on their own. They kind of did. It sounded like, at least on Twitter, but I don't know. The song was cool. I may have expected a little bit more just because it's like, oh, Nas is working with 21 Savage. Maybe this is gonna be like a teaching moment, kind of like J. Cole had with Lil Pump. That wasn't what this was. This was more just like 21 Savage realized what he said, and what he said wasn't necessarily right, or like the way that he said it wasn't right. So people took it out of context, obviously, and made it a bigger deal than it really was. And I think Nas kind of hit him up just to be like, nah, you know what, let's settle this on a track, make it so that people really realize, like, no, this is not what you meant. Like, you actually didn't say anything super negative about me. But yeah, the song was okay. Again, I didn't really expect much from 21 Savage. It really just seemed like he was like on his "oh my bad" sort of shit. But Nas' verse was solid. Don't know that I'm going to go back and listen to the song too much. It also did actually remind me a lot of his flow on his verse. Kind of reminded me of a lot. And it almost feels like if you're going to have 21 Savage on a verse that isn't like from a trap artist, it's going to be this sort of beat. And it's not a bad thing. It's just like, okay, I've heard this verse before sort of thing. But anyways, that's all I got for this track. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the song. And if you also took everything that 21 Savage said and threw a fit about it. I knew he was not 100% serious about it, but here we are. Also, like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you for watching, and please stay safe out there.